Today's topic is on the series of population and the micro, small and medium units in India. In this program, we are going to see how the MSMEs are defined, their performance, the institutional support that the Indian MSMEs are provided with. You will also get to know the challenges that are faced by the MSMEs and some suggested solution to overcome them. So let's begin. Worldwide, these small and medium enterprises, that is the SMEs, have been accepted as the engine of economic growth and for promoting equitable development. The SMEs constitute over 90% of the total enterprises in most of the economies and are credited with generating the highest rates of employment growth and account for a majority share of industrial production and exports. In India too, the SMEs play a pivotal role in the overall industrial economy of the country. SMEs are playing significant role in supply chains of large organizations. To sustain the importance and performances, SMEs are feeling more pressures to improve their competitiveness as compared to the past protective markets. However, the potential of SMEs is often not realized because of problems commonly related to wide size, isolation, market opportunities, standards, quality, supply chains, logistics and technology, innovation, etc. In order to enable SMEs tide over the problems of technological backwardness and enhance their access to new technologies, it is imperative to offer them a conducive environment in the present context of globalization. To understand and assess the real needs of SMEs and accordingly devised approaches that ensure their sustainable growth. This program aims at reviewing the present situation of SMEs in India, examining the global scenario of SMEs and finally suggesting ways to improve the performance in SMEs to impart them an edge to competitiveness in global market. Now let's see the performance evaluation of small and medium enterprises, that is an overview of it. In this section, we will discuss the growth and performances of SMEs in India, contribution of various states in SMEs cluster development, its economic parameters and financial assistance granted to SME entrepreneurs. Then we will focus on the institutional support services offered to SME entrepreneurs along with problems faced by them as well as some of the suggestions that could help the SMEs face their challenges better. Now casting a glance at the performances of SME units in India. Overall, these small and medium enterprises occupy an important strategic place in economic growth and equitable development in all the countries, constituting as high as 90% of the enterprises in most countries worldwide. SMEs are the driving force behind a large number of innovations and contribute to the growth of the national economy through employment creation, investments and exports. Their contribution to poverty reduction and wide distribution of wealth in developing economies cannot be underrated. SMEs in the global scene. Although SMEs make up the vast majority of companies around the world, in each country, the total percentage of workforce they employ varies. But the fact remains that they constitute a sizable chunk of enterprises. Now let's see the European Union. With some 23 million enterprises providing around 75 million jobs and representing 99% of all enterprises, SMEs play a central role in the European economy. They create wealth, foster new ideas, and are a key source of new jobs. The OECD countries. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has 30 member countries. The members include 19 of 25 EU member states, 1 candidate country and 3 of the remaining European countries. The other 7 countries are Australia, Canada, Japan, Korea, Mexico, New Zealand and the United States. Most OECD governments promote entrepreneurship and seek to support and develop SMEs through a myriad of policies and programs. This attempt to combat many of the common difficulties encountered by SMEs and offer solutions to problems in such areas like finance, technology and innovation, e-commerce, management, internationalization, etc. Let's see what the United States has. In the United States, small businesses have benefited from direct cash injections. Procurement policy also seeks to increase the participation of small businesses, veteran-owned small businesses, small disadvantaged businesses, women-owned small businesses. The Small Business Act requires that each contract with an anticipated value of greater than US $2,500 but less than US $100,000 be reserved exclusively for small business concerns, unless the contracting officer is unable to obtain offers from 2 or more small businesses that are competitive with market prices and with the quality of goods or services to be purchased. Then we see the Latin America. After focusing on large investments and wooing multinationals for years, Latin American politicians are beginning to realize that SMEs are the 52 true job creators as well as important players in technology supply chains. Governments have vastly reduced red tape to ensure SMEs' needs are attended to swiftly. In Asia, some of the world's best performing economies, notably Taiwan and Hong Kong, are very heavily based on small enterprises. In Hong Kong, in 2005, a total of almost 270,000 SMEs accounted for over 50% of employment, provided job opportunities to almost 1.2 million people. The majority of enterprises were in the services sector, specifically import and export and wholesale and retail trade. In Japan, where SMEs are defined as establishments employing between 4 and 299 employees with a turnover of less than 100 million yen, they represent 99.7% of all enterprises, with retail and manufacturing being the most popular industries. Korea, recognizing the importance of SMEs, has introduced many measures that include tax breaks and reduced interest loans for those starting new businesses in rural areas. Now, let's look at the developing world. In much of the developing world, SMEs are the only realistic employment opportunity for millions of impoverished communities. A significant portion of SMEs in developing countries are involved in traditional activities serving small, localized markets with little or no technological dynamism. In reality, few graduate into large or more modern technologies. The role of SMEs in the economic growth need not be overemphasized, and their vibrancy is a clear pointer to the health of the economy. With this in mind, let us look at the scenario in India. The Indian scenario, with the advent of the planned economy from 1951 and the subsequent industrial policy followed by the Government of India, both planners and government earmarked a special role for small and medium enterprises and medium-scale industry in the Indian economy. Due protection was accorded to both the sectors and particularly for small-scale industries from 1951 to 1991 till the nation adopted a policy of liberalization and globalization. Certain products were reserved for small-scale units for a long time, though this list of products is decreasing due to change in industrial policies and climate. SMEs always represented the model of socio-economic policies of the Government of India, which emphasized judicious use of foreign exchange for import of capital goods and inputs, labor-intensive mode of production and employment generation, non-concentration of diffusion of economic power in the hands of few, as in the case of big houses, discouraging monopolistic practices of production and marketing, and finally, effective contribution to foreign exchange earning of the nation with low import-intensive operations. The small-scale industrial sector of the Indian economy encompasses in itself almost all the products, including a large number of services produced by Indian industries within the economy. Most of the times, the products produced by the small and medium enterprises comprise of the intermediary products produced by the large-scale industries. They also include semi-processing units and processing units, which are an important link between exports and re-exports. Thus, SMEs act as a backward and forward linkage to overall industrial sector of the Indian economy. Interestingly, the segment plays a crucial role in spreading the benefits of economic growth amongst the masses by drawing surplus workforce from the farm. SMEs exist in almost all the major sectors in the Indian industry, such as food processing, agricultural inputs, chemical and pharmaceuticals, electrical and electronics, medical and surgical equipment, textiles and garments, gems and jewelry, leather and leather goods, meat products, bioengineering, sports goods, plastic products, computer software, etc. Now let's see how we can classify the SMEs. According to the newly enacted Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006, which came into effect from October 2, 2006, the enterprises were classified according to the following criteria. The micro units were those which had an investment less than 25 lakhs. Those units which had an investment ranging from 25 lakhs to 5 crore were classified as small, and the medium units had to have an investment which was more than 5 to 10 crores. As far as for the services sector, the investment limits were rupees 10 lakh for micro units, 2 crore for the small units and 5 crore for the medium scale units. In 2015, the government had introduced an amendment bill to enhance the investment limit in all the categories. This classification follows the global trend in defining SMEs. The above definitions are to be compared with the old definition of small and medium enterprises, SMEs, as an industrial undertaking in which investment is fixed assets in plant and machinery, whether held on ownership terms or on lease or by hire purchase, that does not exceed rupee 1 crore. According to the old definition, the numbers of SMEs were 3.572 million units in 2002-03, with almost 50% of the industrial output attributable to SMEs. About 45% to 50% of the Indian exports is contributed by SMEs. The size and scale of Indian SME sector as per the new SMED Act 2006 is a matter of guesswork, ranging from 7.8 million to 13 million in number. The share in GDP of SMEs may be more than 80%. And if the global trend is true for India, more than 90% of all the enterprises are SMEs. Also, every enterprise in its infant years is an SME. The small-scale services and business enterprises are industry-related service and business enterprises with investment in fixed assets, excluding land and building, up to rupees 10 lakh, irrespective of the location of the unit. Now, as far as performance of the SMEs is concerned, the small and medium enterprises sector contributes significantly to the manufacturing output, employment and exports of the country. It is estimated that in terms of value, the sector accounts for about 45% of the manufacturing output and 40% of the total exports of the country. The sector is estimated to employ around 59 million people in over 26 million units throughout the country. Further, this sector has consistently registered a higher growth rate than the rest of the industrial sector. There are over 6,000 products ranging from traditional to high-tech items which are being manufactured by the MSMEs in India. It is well known that the MSME sector provide the maximum opportunities for both self-employment and job after agriculture sector. Looking at the opportunities and challenges of SMEs in India, we see that a major policy reforms aimed at substantially deregulating industrial sector and liberalizing foreign investment as well as technology imports have been the most significant development in India since 1991. The post-liberalization era in Indian economy has enhanced opportunities and challenges for the small industry sector. The following factors, strengths coupled with opportunities, work in favor of Indian SMEs. High contribution to domestic production, significant export earnings, low investment requirements, operational flexibility, location-wise mobility, low intensive imports, capacities to develop appropriate indigenous technology, import substitution, contribution towards defense production, technology-oriented industries, competitiveness in domestic and export markets. By the very nature of the operations, industrial units in the small-scale sector enjoy certain inherent advantages over the larger counterparts. The free economy ushers in accessibility to bigger markets, greater linkages for SMEs with large companies and marketing units, improved manufacturing techniques and processes. Various measures adopted by Government of India, Reserve Bank of India and SIDBI have attempted to alleviate the problems of SMEs. These initiatives, coupled with other developments in the economic environment, will enhance the prospects of SMEs. With increasing globalization and entry of multinationals, immense opportunities have been created for outsourcing, subcontracting and ancillarization of the products manufactured by corporates, particularly in 64 core sectors like automobiles, engineering and consumer electronics. A vibrant SME can derive maximum benefit of these developments. By its less capital intensive and high labor absorption nature, SME will make significant contributions to employment generation and also to rural industrialization. This sector is ideally suited to build on the strengths of the traditional skills and knowledge by infusion of technologies, capital and innovative marketing practices. This is the opportune time to set up projects in small scale sector. This expectation is based on an essential feature of the Indian industry and the demand structures. The diversity in production systems and market structures will ensure long-term coexistence of many layers of demand and consumer product technologies processes. There will be flourishing and well-grounded markets for the same product or process differentiated by quality, the value added and sophistication. This characteristic of the Indian economy will allow contemporary existence for various diverse types of units. However, the SMEs in India, which constitutes more than 90% of the total number of industrial enterprises and form the backbone of industrial development, continue to be in technological backwaters vis-a-vis advances in science and technology. These suffer from problems of suboptimal scales of operations and technological obsolescence. While most of the large companies, even in developing countries, have a financial as well as technical capacity to identify technological sources and evaluate alternative technologies for their requirements, unfortunately, this capacity is conspicuously missing in most SMEs. It is these features of SMEs that make them an ideal target for technological upgradation through technological cooperation with larger enterprises, with research and development institutions, academic institutions and center of technology development. As the countries merge into a global village, these SMEs will have to respond accordingly and thus deserve special attention. To enable SMEs to mitigate problems of technological backwardness and enhance their access to new technologies, it is imperative to give them a conducive environment, which in the present context of globalization calls for redefining approaches with knowledge, innovation, technology, entrepreneurship, advancements in ICT, playing a predominant role. While looking into new approaches to strengthen them effectively, one has to understand the limitations of SMEs also, which are low capital base, concentration of management functions in one or two persons, inadequate exposure to international environment, inability to face impact of WTO regime, inadequate research and development, lack of professionalism. Besides these, the most formidable problem gripping the SMEs have been in accessing technology and maintaining competitiveness. The reasons for the inability of SMEs to identify their technology needs appear to be poor financial situations and low levels of research and development, poor adaptability to changing trade trends, desire to avoid risk, non-availability of technically trained human resources, emphasis on production and not on production costs, lack of management skills, lack of access to technological information and consultancy services, isolation from technology hubs. Now, in order to enable SMEs overcome the above problems and enhance their access to new technologies for increasing their competitiveness in the international market, it is imperative to give them a conducive environment, which includes formulation of appropriate national policies and programs, building up technological capacity, knowledge flows and technology databases, research and development and interfirm linkages. Networking offers an important route for individual SMEs to address their problems as well as to improve their competitive position. Evidence from developing and developed countries show that networking is more likely when enterprises operate in proximity and share business interests such as markets for products, infrastructure needs, or challenging external competition. With such groups in clusters, enterprises' joint initiatives are stronger because of the critical mass of interested parties, more cost-effective due to shared fixed costs and easy coordination with proximity fostering mutual knowledge and trust. So viewers, in this program, we have seen how MSMEs are defined, MSMEs in the rest of the world, the performance of the Indian MSMEs, the challenges and opportunities that they face, and some suggestions in the end that were made so that they will overcome their drawbacks. Thank you for watching the program.